This morning I was listening to the radio, and on the radio there was a psychologist, and she was talking about how we need to have time out in our day, and how the best way of achieving that, from her perspective, was to get really engrossed in some kind of activity, not a passive thing like just watching television, but actually engaging with something. And how if we were able to really engage with something, we'd get engrossed, and we'd have this experience that she described as enjoyable because we lose track of time. Yeah, so we just become engrossed, and we're no longer concerned with things in the future or things in the past. We're just here, present. And after that, listen to that little show. That's interesting. I was getting into my work, the things I had to do that day. One of those things was just preparing a class that I'm doing tomorrow at the DBC. And I got really involved, I got really engrossed, and I was quite enjoying it. And then I got a text message. And the text message was from a friend who was asking me where I was because we were supposed to be talking at that particular time. So the fact that I'd lost track of time meant that I'd missed an appointment with somebody. And I thought, well, that's both of those things on their own are good. Like I like to keep my appointments, and also I like to get engrossed. So it got me thinking about the relationship between, or the creative tension, if you like, between structure and spontaneity. And I think probably all of us are working with this in some kind of way. We've all got things we need to do. We've all got places we need to be. And also, we want to be as involved and as engaged in those activities as we can. One of the challenges, as well as that we face at the moment, is that ordinarily, for most of us, our activity, the activity that we're engaged in, will be determined by the location that we're in, or at least defined by the location that we're in. So when we're at home, we're at home. We're eating, we're sleeping, we're washing, we're spending time with friends and family. And when we're at work, we're working. Yeah, so it's as if our activity is determined, or at least defined by the location that we're in. So at the moment, many of us, and myself included, are spending a lot of time at home, and all of our activities happen in the same space. So these moments of being engrossed, we don't just need to leave it to chance. So the spontaneous aspect of it is just noticing what it is that we enjoy, and also the more active, structured thing is knowing the things that we need to do. So if we don't do the things that we know we need to do, we'll be plagued by anxiety. So interestingly, in the Buddhist context, anxiety is often described as knowing that you needed to do something that you haven't done, or knowing that you've done something which you shouldn't have done. So there's a sense that we are actually, we've got certain sort of duties and certain commitments that we need to fulfill in order to have a clear conscience, as it were, just to be able to get on with our lives without worrying about things. So one of the things I think we can do, particularly at the moment, is when we're engaged in an activity, just be really clear about what that activity is, and know when we've brought it to a completion before we then pick up a new activity. Again, gadgets tend to draw our attention away, so it's very, very easy to get interrupted by things. But even we can get interrupted, finish off the interruption, and then if we've got a really strong continuity of purpose, which is what I'm describing, we can pick up what we were doing before we got distracted. So what I'm saying is that we needn't leave it to chance. We needn't leave those moments of being engrossed, of absorption, to chance. We can actually create the conditions for them to happen by being really, really clear about what it is that we need to do, but also having that sense of receptivity. So sometimes the plan, the structure that we've decided on isn't the right one. And we might notice that at certain points of the day that we're running out of energy, we're running out of juice, so to speak. And we do actually need to just get up from our desk and do something different, just to refresh ourselves, and then maybe pick up some other piece of work or some other activity before we get on to what it is that we need to do. So in order to be deeply absorbed, we need both that receptive element of knowing what our levels of engagement actually are, and also the active element of having a clear sense of what it is that we need to be doing at any point in time. So when those two come together, when we're really, really clear and when we're really, really engaged, we will become absorbed. And that's in a way you could say, the intermediate goal of Buddhist practice is to become more and more whole, more and more integrated, more and more able to give our energy fully to whatever it is that we happen to be engaged in. So one Buddhist teacher says to do one thing at a time is the whole art of life. So ultimately what this results in is, it's an important step on the way to full and perfect enlightenment. And the image for that that's often given for awakening is of a circle. You can see there's a mandala just behind me here, which is a circle, a harmonious arrangement. So it's an image of the enlightened mind where all the different aspects of the mind are all perfectly synthesized, are all perfectly in harmony with each other. So it's not just a state of calm and peace, it's also a state of spontaneous activity. So if we're completely whole, completely integrated, all our energies are available, we're able to be spontaneous and to respond to whatever needs to be done when it needs to be done.